Okay, this video is for um, Sean Boyd. Sean Boyd, this is for you. This is for you. You asked me, and I'm going to give it to you straight, right? So I'm going to read your comments, and then I'm going to respond accordingly, okay? You came and said to me, and first off, I don't know why you feel the need to keep posting and asking me about my personal beliefs. You know, you have an agenda apparently. But anyway, be that as it may, whatever the case is, I'm going to address. So first you start off by saying, I keep posting and never answer any of your direct questions. You even went so far as to send me a text in Messenger. Okay, maybe I did send you a text. A lot of people respond to me, so I have a bunch of different accounts, so I don't know. Apparently, maybe I did send you one, so okay, be that as it may. So I said, ask me what? Then you came back and said, do you love white men, women, and children? Okay, what does color have to do with anything, right? And love is not just a word that you just throw out there. So love has restrictions to it. Okay, so I don't love everybody, no, because love has restrictions to it. Okay, and I do hate my enemies. Okay, and it's a difference between hating your enemies and retaliating against your enemies. Okay, and that's what we're going to deal with right in this response, right? Okay. He said, do you love white men, women, children? And besides them, do you love other races just like you love yourself? Well, absolutely. I love everybody the same way. And if you're wrong, if you're off, you're wicked, I'm going to tell you you're wicked. So love tells the truth, right? Speak the truth in love, right? So when you're wrong, a person who loves you is going to tell you you're wrong, right? So does it make you not love? When we were kids, our parents told us, you know, and who you love, you chastise, right? Isn't that what the Messiah said, something like that? Whom he loved, he chasteneth, right? So see, people want people to love them and to be all emotional and sensitive, right? So who you love, he chastise, he chasteneth, right? Okay, so take it for what it's worth, right? Now, so I responded. I said, yes, it depends. I hate what y'all hates, right? I'm not gonna love what y'all hates. It's just that simple. And I'm not obligated to love what y'all hates. As a matter of fact, y'all wants me to pull down the altars. So I'm not gonna embrace falsehood, lies, and deception because you say I should love nonsense and foolishness, right? If you're serving Yah, right, we're gonna deal with that in a minute. All right. I quoted for the record Psalm 129. Do not I hate them, O Yah, that hate you. So I hate anybody that hates Yah, and I ain't changing on that. Am I not grieved with those that rise up against you? I hate them with perfect hatred, I count them my enemies all day long, and I won't change that. Okay? And Yahshua didn't change that either. That's why he called them generation of vipers. He told them you was of your father, the devil, right? Tough love, huh? All right, well, let's continue. So he goes and says, do you know more than what Yahshua knows? Are you smarter than Yahshua? Did you get a revelation that surpasses Yahshua? No, but I spoke the words of Yahshua, right? All right. Now, what did Yahshua say in Matthew chapter 5, right? Not Matthew chapter 5, Matthew chapter 12. When they came at Yahshua and they said, your mother and your brothers are looking for you, right? And then And then one said to him, behold, your mother, this is Matthew 12:47, and your brothers stand without desiring to speak with you. But Yahshua, this is what Yahshua said. Yahshua answered and said to them that told him, who is my mother and who is my brother? Right? He stretched forth his hand towards the Talmudim and said, behold, my mother and brethren. For whosoever shall do the will of my Father which is in heaven is my brother, sister, and mother. So my obligation to love is to love those that's doing the will of the Father. And if you're not doing the will of the Father, then I'm not obligated to love you, to give you nothing. Straight up. Now, if you in error and you are ignorant, I'm going to work with you. But if you willfully disobeying Yah, I'm not going to give no love to you. Straight up. Regardless of what you look like externally. Unfortunately, in today's society, people that are white have a tendency to not see their error. They always want to be right. I recommend you to watch this brother. What's his name? Dana Stevens. I'll put a link so you can check him out. Right? He deals with you so-called white people because y'all don't want to be wrong. Y'all want everybody to bow down to you. People been bowing down to y'all for too long. Right? It's time for you to see your sins and your transgressions, right? Okay? You're not going to be right. Okay? Now, so that's what Yahshua said. Whoever does the will of the Father, right? That is my mother, brother, sisters, right? Now, you also go on, let me finish because you quote something else. So you say Yahshua sent Elohim himself from heaven, born of a virgin, and Elohim taught him everything he knows, and Yahshua has done what he's seen his Father in heaven do. Absolutely. The Most High said in Proverbs, 6 things does Yah hate, 7 are abominations. So Yah hates those things, right? What are those things that the Most High hates, right? Okay. Okay, Proverbs 6:16. It says, these 6 things does Yah hate. Yes, 7 are abomination. A proud look, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, right? A heart that devises wicked imaginations, feet that are swift to run to mischief, a false witness that speaks lies, and he that sows discord among the brother. Not amongst the enemies. An enemy is not a brother. I don't have to love a person who's not a brother. Now, if you're under the covenant, you're trying to keep the covenant, then you're a brother and I owe you love. But if you're not, I don't owe you no love. I don't love. There's nowhere in the book does it say you got to love everybody. Nowhere in the book. If it's in there, show it to me where he says love everybody. Now, when the Messiah said love your neighbor, right? He's talking about those, like he just said. Okay, who is your neighbor, right? Who is your neighbor, right?
Pictures that match.
Google's trying to help me out here. All right. The neighbor didn't have nothing to do with the outside foreign nations. It had to do with those of the house of Israel who were covenant people. Man, so if you are a stranger and you came under the covenant, then you were a neighbor. So if you are from another nation and you're not under the covenant of Israel, I'm not talking about the new covenant, Christian covenant. That's another covenant. I'm talking about under the covenant of Israel. The Most High didn't give Christianity the covenant, right? So that's who your neighbor is, right? And I'm going to show it to you. But first I'm going to read what the Messiah said, and then I'm going to show you what he was quoting, right? Because you don't get it, right? Now, Matthew chapter 5. Okay, the Messiah said, you have heard that it has been said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. Now, Yahshua is not talking about the law, because the law never told you to hate anybody. That was in the covenant. Let's be clear now. The Most High didn't tell us to hate anybody that was in the covenant, that was from the house of Israel, that was stranger brought into the covenant. But He did tell us to destroy the altars, right? He told them, he said, make no covenant with them, right? Let me see. Hold on, let me pull it up. Okay. I think it's Deuteronomy 7. Let's go in here to let's look at Deuteronomy 4:23 first. He said, take heed to yourselves, lest you forget the covenant of Yah, your Elohim, which he made with you, and make you a graven image or likeness of anything that which Yah hath forbidden. For Yah is a consuming fire, even jealous. Okay. When thou beget children and children's children, you shall have remained long in the land and shall corrupt yourself and make graven images. Okay, that's not the one I want. It's Deuteronomy 7, right? So let's see. Let's go to Deuteronomy 7. Here it is. When Yah your Elohim shall bring you into the land where you go to possess it, right? What did he say? All right, hold on a second. I want to bring the scriptures on the screen so you can see what I'm reading. All right. Okay. When Yah, your Elohim, I'm going to change this version. I don't like to use those names. When Yahuwah Elohim shall bring you to the land where you go possess it, and have cast out many nations before you, the Chittim, the Girgashim, and the Emarim, and the Kingdom. Okay, wait a minute, that might be a little confusing. Let's see. Let me use the let's use the scriptures version. When Yah your Elohim brings you to the land which you go to possess, he also is clear away many nations before you, the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, Jebusites, 7 nations mightier than you. And when Yah your Elohim gives them over to you, you shall strike them and put them under ban completely, make no covenant with them, and show them no favor, right? Let's go to the King James Version, because that kind of is changing the whole thought process for me. Okay, I'll just translate it. When Yah your Elohim shall bring you into the land where you go to possess it, and have cast out many nations before you, the Hittites, the Girgashites, Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, Jebusites, even 7 nations which are mightier than thou. And when Yah your Elohim shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them. That's what I want to see. He said, smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other deities. So will the anger of Yah be kindled against you and destroy you suddenly. But this shall you deal with them. You shall destroy their altars, break down their images, cut down their groves, and burn their graven images with fire. For thou art a set apart people unto Yah, and Yah hath chosen you to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So do we think we better? Absolutely. Why? Because the Most High said we was. Okay. I know you like that. You like that, don't you? Yeah. But that's what the Most High said. I didn't say it. He said we above. Right? Now. Okay. Yah did not set his love upon you or choose you because you're more numbered than any people, for you were the fewest people. But because Yah loved you, because you would keep the oath which he has sworn to your fathers, have Yah brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you out the house of bondmen from the hand of Pharaoh of Egypt. Now therefore Yah He is Elohim and faithful Elohim, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations. And watch this now. He repays them that hate him to their face to destroy them. He will not be slack to him that hate him. He will repay him to his face. Right? So, Yah, now watch this now. I know you're going to like this here. Let's go to Exodus chapter 20, right? All right, Exodus chapter 20. I want to read. Okay, it says, this is Exodus 20:4. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them nor serve them, for I, Yah, am jealous, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children unto the third and the fourth generation of them that hate me. See that? And showing mercy to thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. So he visits the iniquities of the fathers to the third and fourth generation, right? So we're showing you that this is what Yahshua taught, because he didn't come to teach a whole nother lesson, right? Now, with regards to the Messiah saying, you have heard it said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy, right? Now, Torah didn't say hate your enemy of the house of Israel. Torah said hate the enemy of Yah. That's why in Psalms he said that, right? Now, how do we know that's true? Let's go to Luke chapter 19, where Yahshua quoted Torah. All right. So go to Luke chapter 18. What is it? 19. Right? And verse, let's start at verse, let's start at verse 13. Luke 19:13. Thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor, neither rob him. The wages of him that is hired shall not abide with thee all night long. So who is this neighbor? It's not a foreign nation, right? The neighbor is somebody in the covenant. I don't owe a foreign nation nothing. So that's why when that guy came down to the church and shot them people, they said, we love him. Stone, eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. I don't owe no wicked person that's not of the covenant any love. I guarantee if he'd came to my household, he'd have got a buckshot up his butt. Because why? The Messiah is not telling you to love the wicked. The Messiah, the scripture said what? The Yah is angry with the wicked every day. So why would I let a wicked person come in here and harm my lovely, beautiful wife and my family? Right? Yah didn't tell me to do that. He's talking to covenant keeping people who may have had a fault or made mistakes in transition trying to keep the Torah. Not some wicked foreign nation that has no regard for Yah that's going to come and kill all the people. Right? That's why the Messiah told the disciples to buy swords. Let me get back to Leviticus, right? He says, thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor. So who was the neighbor, right? The neighbor was the people that lived in the house of Israel, or in the covenant, that were in the covenant of Israel, right? Okay, the word for neighbor is Rhea, an associate, right? There you go. Somebody who is an associate is not somebody who's a stranger, right? A friend. That's who my neighbor is, an associate. The neighbor, he's not talking about somebody that lives next door to me in America. They're not my neighbor. The terminology from an English perspective might be they're my neighbor, but my neighbor is the one that's doing the will of the Father, right? So if you're not doing the will of the Father, then you're not my neighbor. I don't care. I don't owe you nothing, right? Now, if you keeping the covenant of Yah, then we can talk. If you ain't keeping Yah's covenant, I don't owe you nothing. And I'd be a fool to let somebody come and violate me because I'm supposed to love everybody. The devil is a lie, like my mother-in-law says. All right, now, so he says, verse 19, 14. Now, my point I'm making to you is that the Most High never told us to love everybody. Okay, let that sink in. He said, thou shalt not curse the deaf, nor put a stumbling block before the blind, but shall fear Yah, for I am Yahuwah. You shall do no unrighteousness in judgment, right? Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty, but in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor. So we're supposed to judge the neighbor. So if the neighbor is somebody who's not in the covenant, how can I judge somebody who's saying, I'm not a believer? I can't judge them, so they're not my neighbor. So I don't have to love somebody. Respect is different than love. I respect your property, right? I respect your belief, right? I don't have to accept it, right? But you're not my neighbor because you're not doing the will of the Father, just like the Messiah said about his brothers and sisters. So a brother or sister is a neighbor, somebody that is in the covenant, right? So let's be clear about that. All right, thou shalt not curse the deaf, nor put a stumbling block before the blind, but shall fear Yah. Okay, I read that already. Thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among thy people. Okay. So Yah is concerned about those that are of the house of Israel that's keeping the covenant. That's who he's talking about. This is not applying to that's why I read in Deuteronomy 7. This is not applying to the heathen nation. This is applying to somebody who's under the covenant, right? All right. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. So that's what you coming at me talking about. We not under the law. I'm gonna rebuke you every time. I'm not saying that you said it, but what I'm saying is anybody that comes against Torah and tell me that Yahshua came and brought another gospel, I'm gonna rebuke you, just like he said in the book. Correct you with the book. He said, thou shalt not hate thy brother. So how do you hate your brother? By not correcting him. So that's what we hate, wickedness, and we rebuke it. Even Shaul said, thou shalt have no fellowship with the works of darkness. Right? So if a person is wicked and rebellious and not going to submit to the will and to the righteousness of Yah, then you don't owe them nothing, right? You don't owe them a thing. But we've been made to believe that because we're supposed to love everybody, that we're supposed to just show compassion regardless of how wicked they are. Just love them. Everybody, God loves everybody. No. It don't work that way. You supposed to love everybody? my issues over here off the camera. But you ain't supposed, I mean, that's the problem. We thinking we supposed to love everybody. You're not supposed to love everybody. Everybody don't mean you well, right? The enemies that he's talking about is not the people that, and we'll look at that in the Greek. I guarantee you that the enemy he's talking about is not some wicked nation. It's another person that you might have a disagreement with. That's under the covenant, right? Or that's why Yahshua said when you go to offer your gift and you remember you have all against your brother, go be reconciled to the brother. He's talking about somebody of the covenant, not somebody of a foreign nation that's not serving Yah. That's who the neighbor is. It's not some wicked, straight up rebellious, evil person, right? Okay. He says, thou shalt not avenge nor bear a grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself, for I am Yah. So the verse before that tells you how to love. You love by doing what? He says, thou shalt not suffer. He said, rebuke your neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. That's how you love, right? If I hate you, I ain't gonna say nothing. I'm gonna let you eat them pork chops and that shrimp. I'm gonna let you break the law, break the Shabbat, and say, oh, Sunday's the new Shabbat. That's hate. But love is when I tell you what the words say, no, brother, y'all under this grace thing, right? We had grace in the Old Testament. Don't tell me grace is something new. Don't tell me love is a new commandment. We had love. The Most High just showing you right here what love is, right? Okay. So now, do I need to go further? I'm turning this into a lesson. All right. So now let's go back to Matthew 5, right? Okay. No, let's read verse 19. Let's read verse 19. All right. You shall keep my statutes. Thou shalt not let thy cattle gender with diverse kinds. Thou shalt not sow thy field and mingle seed. Neither shalt thy garment be mingled with linen, woolen, come upon thee. Okay. All right, that's good. So now let's go back to Matthew chapter 5. Right. Let's pull it up on the screen. All right. Matif Yahoo. That's his name. Not Matthew. He wasn't from Germany or England. Right, Matthew's Matif Yahoo. I said it again, right? 5. Matif Yahoo 5 and 43. Okay. Okay. You have heard it have been said, thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. Now, what was Yahshua saying? Right? What was said of old is not what Torah said. Right? It's what people say. Right? An enemy is not somebody who you have a disagreement with. But see, the world have taken that to mean anybody that is a opposition against you. But that enemy was they weren't dealing with foreign nations, were they? So how could an enemy be somebody? How could an Israelite enemy he's referring to be somebody from Greece or somebody from the Gauls, from Germany, Russia, or any other European nation, wherever you from, Ireland, right? So your neighbor he's talking about is those who are of the covenant. Even the stranger that came in from another nation would be a neighbor, as I already said. I don't want to be repetitious, right? Okay. So he said, but I say to you, love your enemies and bless them that curse you and do good to them that hate you and pray for them that despitefully use you and persecute you. Okay. That's not talking about the Romans that came against. Okay. Now, we're going to prove that in a minute. Okay. You have heard. Okay. So now if we look at this word neighbor, what's the word for neighbor? Near, neighbor, fellow, right? Friend. So the neighbor is a friend. And if you are not keeping Yah's covenant, you are not a friend. Do you get that? If you disobey the covenant of Yah, you are not a friend. You are an enemy of Yah. And if you're an enemy of Yah, you're an enemy of mine. Therefore, I'm allowed to hate you. That's Torah. If you don't like it, it's tough. But now, if you of the household of Israel and you in the covenant, then I got to put up with you. But if you're a heathen and you're a rebel and you have no intentions of serving Yah, but you just want to attack me, you're not a neighbor and you're not a brother. Okay? That's why we bump heads. Look at some of these forums on Facebook, right? These brothers got the right spirit. When they attack somebody that's coming against Torah, they right. And you're going to continue to get it if you keep coming at somebody who's trying to keep Torah. All right? Some of these brothers have backslid. They trying to get all mushy with unbelievers. Oh, yeah, well, I understand where you come from. I don't understand where you're coming from. You want me in a forum? You want to debate with me? I'm coming full speed. Right? We're supposed to, right? Okay, so the neighbor is a fellow. It is someone who says close by, neighbor, fellow, as man, countryman, right? Friend. They got their word Christian there. I'm not a Christian. Okay, now let's see. Neighbor and hate. He said, thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate. What's the word for hate? To detest, persecute. Okay. By extension, to love less. Okay. Now, that's all that's saying. So hatred and retaliation, right? Righteous Hebrews, we haven't retaliated against anybody. Even the brothers that as bad, as bitter as they may be on the street and saying harsh things, they haven't retaliated against nobody. They just said tough things that ruffled your feathers the wrong way. I'm not saying I agree with that approach, but what I'm saying is that, hey, think about it now. When our forefathers was in America, my issue I was talking about the other day. When our forefathers was in America, the slave master was calling him a boy. You better not say nothing back. You suck it up. Hey, boy, where you going, boy? But now y'all a little offended because these guys on the corner doing the same thing that your forefathers did to our forefathers. But I digress. Okay. But I say to you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, and do good. So the enemy is, okay, the word for enemy is the word ethros. It says to hate, hateful, odious, hostile, right? Adversary, right? So that's the enemy he's talking about. Somebody who has become an adversary to you, right? And this is the adversary he's talking about. He's not talking about, Messiah is talking to Hebrews. He's talking to Israelites. He's not, because remember the mission, I should say, that Yahshua had was, Yahshua went to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So he was speaking to Israelites. He wasn't speaking to heathens, right? So we can't apply this to heathens, right? But I say to you, love your enemies. Who the enemies? Those of the covenant of Israel that you may have a disagreement over. It might be over some land. It might be over a bad deal that went down between you and another brother of the covenant, right? Okay, he said, for that purpose, pray for them that despitefully use you and persecute you, that you may be children of the Father which is in heaven. There it is. So he clarifies it. For he maketh the sun rise upon evil and on good, and sendeth rain on the just and on the unjust. For if you love them which love you, what reward have you? Do not even the publicans the same? So now he talks about the publicans, right? In this particular case, who's the publicans, right? All right, the publicans is, he says, tax farmer, a collector, okay, a tax Okay, so the tax collectors, the tax collectors, he said that even the tax collectors love, because when they're trying to collect their money, it'll be sweet as pie. Come by. Hi, how are you? I'm IRS. We come to get your money, right? All right. So that's the whole thing there. Now, so that's Matthew 5. All right, let me finish Matthew 5 out. So, for if you love them which love you, reward have you, do not even the publicans the same. Verse 47, and if you salute your brother only, what do you more than others? Do not even the publicans do so? Be therefore perfect as even your Father which in heaven is perfect. So Yahshua is talking to Israelite or covenant sons of the covenant who have other issues with other sons of the covenant where we have personality clashes. We see that happen all the time. Right? So he's not talking about, and I'm going to continue to repeat myself, he's not talking about a heathen nation. He's talking about those that are practicing the covenant. So the neighbor and the enemy could be in the same household. And that's what somewhere it says that sometimes the enemy are those that are of his household of faith, right? Let me see, where is that at? All right, let's look it up. Okay, enemy. Let's see that's not the one I'm looking for. Okay, that's it. Matthew 10. That's the Messiah said that, right? He said, a man's foes shall be they of his own household. What is a foe? All right. A foe is the hateful, the odious, the hostile one. So the enemy that the Messiah was talking about was not a heathen. He was talking about the person in your own household who is an enemy. Love them. Not that demon from outside that has no love for y'all that's coming to do harm to me. He gonna get himself hurt fooling with me. And I'm in order. Now I gotta show you what the Messiah told the disciples to go buy swords, right? Okay, let's see if I can find it real quick. Okay, wait a minute. Okay. So Luke 22 and 35 says, he said to them, when I sent you without purse and scrip, shoes, and lacked you anything, and they said nothing. So then said he unto them, but now he that have a purse, let him take it, and likewise his scrip, and he that have no sword, let him sell his garment and buy one. For I say to you that this is written must yet be accomplished in me. And he was reckoning among the transgressors, for the things concerning me have an end. And they said, Master, behold, there are two swords. And he said unto them, Is it enough? So these are the words of the Messiah. Now you ask me, was I smarter than the Messiah, had a greater revelation than the Messiah? I'm following the Messiah, right? But you want me to be a punk and be a soft, weak man. I'm supposed to love everybody. I love everybody, yeah. It doesn't matter. You can hurt me. I just take it. You hit me on one side, I turn to the other side. Right? Nah, not here. You don't get that here. Sorry. So you might find some other Hebrew brothers like that, right? But they talk to me, they'll change. Right? But you can't let somebody just take advantage of you because, oh, I'm a Hebrew, I'm a covenant. I'll follow Yahshua. Yahshua said, buy swords. Then he asked him, we got two of them. He says, is that enough? Is that enough? Oh my mercy, brothers and sisters. See, we got to stop this nonsense, right? All right, now. So that's what the Messiah was talking about. Now, I had something else. So that's what the Messiah said. Now back to your questions you have for me. All right. So Yahshua said, love your neighbor. I doubled that. Are you now telling people that you're better than Yahshua and that they should? No, I'm just like him. I just basically, I'm doing what Yahshua said to. Everyone on Elohim's earth has sinned and did things deserving of damnation and hell. But Elohim is Elohim of tender mercies and loving kindness and slow to anger. Right, but he's angry with the wicked every day, right? So you say he's slow to anger. Okay. Let's see. Let me read that. It says, this is Psalms 7, right? Tehillim 7. Elohim judges the righteous, and Elohim is angry with the wicked every day. So if you wicked, like I always say, straight wicked, he's angry with you, right? Proverbs 14 says, he that is soon angry dealeth foolishly, and a man of wicked devices is hated. There you go. All right, now. So let's go back to your comments. I know you didn't expect to get a sermon. All right, now. For Elohim is like that, we ought to be like that also. Right. Just like the Father said, right? I'm gonna show you how the Father is, right? Because you don't know the Elohim that I know, because you got this weak, passive, love everybody type of deity. When I'm gonna show you what kind of love the Father has, right? All right. All right, let's see. All right, let's see. What shall we? Let's go to the prophet. Okay, let's go to let's go to Yirmiyahu, right? Chapter 25. Verse 30. All right, let's bring it on the screen so you can see it. Therefore prophesy thou against them all these words, and say unto them. Okay, who are we talking about? Let's go up a little bit. So the verse says, but thus saith Yah, the Elohim of Israel, unto me, take the whole cup of this fury at my hand, and cause all the nations to whom I send thee to drink it. So who is he talking to? He's talking to the nations, right? All right. Now let's continue. I'm gonna skip down. I just want you to see what he's talking about, right? You got all these nations he talks about in verse 18. To wit, Jerusalem, the cities, Judah, and the kings thereof, princes thereof, to make them a desolation, astonishment, and hissing, and a curse, as it is this day. Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and his servants, princes, and all the mingled people, all the kings of the land of Uz, Philistines, Ashkelon, Azah, Edom, Moab, Ammon, kings of Tyrus, Zidon, Dedan, Tema, Buz, Arabia, Zimri, Elam, Medes, right? Okay. Now, he says, prophesy against them all these words, and say unto them, Yah shall roar from high, and utter his voice from his set apart habitation. He shall mightily roar upon his habitation. He shall give a shout as they that tread the grapes against all the inhabitants of the earth. A noise shall come even to the ends of the earth, for Yah have controversy with the nations. So what he's saying, he has a controversy with the nations, right? All right. He will plead. That's the word Shaphat. This is not, he's not saying, would y'all please obey me? No. See, that's the Christian mindset. He's judging. He's coming with fire, right? With fury, okay? He says, Yah shall roar on high and utter his voice from his habitation. He shall mightily roar upon his habitation. He shall give a shout as they that tread the grapes against all the inhabitants of the earth. A noise shall come even to the ends of the earth, for Yah have a controversy with the nations. He will judge all flesh. He will give them that are wicked to the sword, says Yah. So is that the kind of love you're looking for? He said he's going to give those that are wicked to the sword, right? Let's continue. All right. Thus saith Yah of hosts, behold, evil shall go forth from nation to nation, and great whirlwind shall be raised up from coast of the earth. And the slain of Yah shall be at that day from one end of earth even to the other of earth. They shall not be lamented, neither gathered nor buried, but they shall be dung upon the ground. Right? Now, so much for love, right? Supposed to love everybody? I'm following my father. I'm not done yet, right? I got one more for you. Okay. Let's continue a little bit here. He says, how you shepherds cry, wallow yourselves in the ashes, you principal of the flock, for the days of your slaughter and your dispersions are accomplished, and you shall fall like a pleasant vessel. And the shepherd shall have no way to flee, nor the principal of the flock to escape. The voice of the cry of the shepherds and the howling of the principal of the flock shall be heard, for Yah has spoiled their pasture, and the peaceable habitations are cut down because of the fierce anger of Yah. He hath forsaken his covenant as a lion, for their land is desolate because of the fierceness of oppressor and because of the fierce anger, right? So now I want to show you something. This is what the Most High said. In Ezekiel 39, Yekeskel, Most High said, prophesy against Gog and say, thus saith Yah, behold, I am against you, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. I will turn thee back and leave but a sixth part of thee, and I will cause thee to come up from the north parts, and will bring thee upon the mountains of Israel. And I will smite thy bow out of thy left hand, right? And will cause thine arrows to fall out of thy right hand. Thou shalt fall upon the mountains of Israel, thou and all thy bands, and the people that is with thee. I will give thee into the ravenous birds of every sort, and the beasts of the field to be devoured. Thou shalt fall upon the open field, for I have spoken it, says Yah Elohim. And I will send a fire on Magog and among them that dwell carelessly in the isles. And they shall know that I am Yah. So I will make my name, my set apart name known in the midst of my people, Israel. And I will not let them pollute my name anymore. That's why we got to get rid of them pagan names. Jesus, Lord and God and all that's pagan. He's jealous for his name. But y'all, it's okay to translate his name, you know. It's just a translation of the name. Shut up with that nonsense. Right? Go somewhere and sit down and learn something for a change, right? Y'all had all these 2,000 years to teach theological garbage. I'm trying to find words. I'll use that. That's all y'all did. Y'all taught us theological garbage. Look at the world, right? The chickens have come home to roost. That's why them guys on the corners cussing and fussing and stuff. They angry. That's what it says in the book of the ladder of Yaakov. He said bitter ones will cry in the street. That's what you're seeing. The chickens have come home to roost, right? The seeds that y'all sowed into this nation is now starting to come forth. That's why you see the anger. That's why you see the violence. That's why you see the killings and all of that, because why? Your nasty ancestors sowed the seed of murder in this land. All right. And you shall come to pass, it shall come to pass in that day. This is Keskel 39. I will give a place of graves. I will give unto Gog a place of graves in Israel, and the valley of the passengers on the east of the sea, and it shall stop the noses of the passengers, and there shall they bury Gog and the multitude, and they shall call the valley of Ham Gog. And 7 months shall the house of Israel be burying them. Who's gonna bury them? Israel. And that they may cleanse the land. Yes, all the people of the land shall bury them, and shall be to them a renowned day that I shall be esteemed, says Yah Elohim. And they shall serve out men of continual employment, passing through the land to bury with the passengers those that remain upon the face of the earth, to cleanse it. After the end of 7 months shall they search the passengers to pass through the land. Any see a man's bone, then shall he set up a sign by it till the buriers have buried it in the valley of Ham and God. And also the name of the city shall be called Hamona. Thus they shall cleanse the land. Right? Then we're not done yet. And then it says, thou son of man, thus shalt Yahweh Elohim speak unto every feathered fowl and every beast of the field. Assemble yourselves and come and gather yourselves on every side to my sacrifice, that I do sacrifice for you, even a great sacrifice upon the mountains of Israel, that you may eat the flesh and drink the blood. You shall eat the flesh of the mighty and drink the blood of the princes of the earth, of rams, lambs, goats, bullocks, and all the fatlings of Bashan. And you shall eat the fat till you be full, and drink the blood till you be drunk of my sacrifice, which I have sacrificed for you. Thus you shall be filled, right, by my table with horses, chariots, mighty men, with men of war, says Yah Elohim. And I will set my esteem among the heathens, and all the heathens shall see my judgment, not my love, that I had executed, and my hand that I had laid upon them. So the house of Israel shall know that I am Yah, their Elohim, from that day and forward. And the heathen, there's coming a repayment day. What you done to the apple of Yah's eye, you better wake up and see. They say you better wake up and smell coffee. For the heathen shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity. That's where the transatlantic slave trade. And y'all want to talk, y'all can't prove you Israel. The books say we are. Look what he said. He said that the heathen shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity, because they trespassed against me. Therefore hid I my face from them and gave them into the hand of their enemies. So fell they all by the sword. That's what the Messiah said, Luke 21:24. They shall fall by the edge of the sword. Who fell by the edge of the sword? Israel. Where'd they go? To all nations. We shall lay a captive into all nations. Who did that happen to? People that look like me. But you think we preaching color. It's not preaching color. We preaching prophecy. You the one got the problem because you want these other people to be the people. And they don't have a prophecy to fulfill that. They might have some traditions that they kept, that they learned from our forefathers, the Masoretes. That's another lesson. All right. Anyway. So he said, he says, again, therefore hid I my face from them and gave them into the hand of their enemies. So fell they all by the sword. According to their uncleanness and according to their transgressions have I done unto them, and hid my face from them. Right. So, but then the next few verses, he said, therefore says Yah, now I will bring again the captivity. Right. What's the word for captivity? I'm glad you asked the question. Right. Shabuth, which means in exile, prisoners. Right. So the black people, and I'm a rub it in your face. The black people are the children of Israel. The black people that you hate, that you want to say, oh, you're Christian. We are the children of Israel. Get used to this faith, because for 1,000 years, you're going to have to bow down to one. All right. I'm not saying that from pride. I'm just saying it from prophecy. You want me to read it to you? I'll read it to you. I'll show it to you. I don't make nothing up. All right. And I don't push this in your throat. But since you want to push the button, I'm going to tell you. All right. We're going to put an end to this attack of Israelites from these so-called Christian apologetics. I'm going to do a whole series on Christian apologetics. I'm going to eat you alive with the word of Yah. Especially the ones that look like me, that have fallen prey to that nonsense. You're going to feel the fire of Yah coming from Kazakh Yah. All right. Now, let me see. Neither, he said, let's see. This is, after that I've borne their shame. Let me go back up again. Therefore, thus said Yah, now I will bring again the captivity of Jacob and have mercy upon the whole house of Israel, and will be jealous for my set apart name. There it is again, right? After that they have borne their shame and all their trespasses whereby they have trespassed against me, when they dwelt safely in their land and none made them afraid. Now we have a lot of fear now amongst us, right? The nations are afraid because Israel is afraid. When I have brought them again from the people and gathered them out of the enemy's lands. So the people that took us into captivity, Yah said, you my enemy, you're not my friend, my brother. Now, he said, from your enemy's land, right? Where is my enemy at? What's the word they use there for enemy? Let's see. Hating an adversary, as oyib, right? Oyib, to hate, hostile, ayib, right? And he says, and I am set apart in them in the sight of many nations. Then shall they know that I am Yah, their Elohim, which caused them to be led into captivity, right? What's the word for captivity? Galah, right? Exile. I've led them into captivity among the heathens, but I have gathered them into their own land and have left none of them anymore there. So all these so-called blacks, African-American Negroes that is in the enemy's land, They're not going to be there no more. They're going to come, right? The isles is going to gather and bring them from afar. Okay? Neither will I hide my face anymore from them. I have poured out my spirit upon the house of Israel, says Yah Elohim. Now, I said you're going to bow down, right? Okay? I'm going to show you this, Isaiah. All right? This is Yoshiyahu, right? Yoshiyahu, chapter 49. Okay? This is chapter 49, verse 42. Thus saith Yahweh Elohim, behold, I will lift up my hand to the Gentiles and set my standard to the people, and they shall bring thy sons in their arms, and thy daughters shall be carried upon their shoulders. See? So y'all going to finance us going back home. And we coming out with great substance. Get ready for the reparations, because they're coming to a city near you. All right. And the kings shall be thy nursing fathers, and the queens thy nursing mothers, and they shall bow down to thee with their faces toward the earth and lick up the dust off thy feet. And thou shalt know that I am Yah, for they shall not be ashamed that wait for me. Okay. Now, I'm not going to read the rest of that. I'm going to read you something else. Okay. Now, the Most High said what? They're going to bring the isles, are going to bring the sons from afar, right? That's in Isaiah, right? I'm going to give you another place, right? Something that just popped up. So let's go to Jeremiah 31, right? All right. Yeremiyahu. Got to roll that R. Yeremiyahu, right? All right. Hear the word from Yahuwah, O ye nations, and declare in the isles afar off, and say, he that scattered Israel, right, will gather him and keep him as a shepherd does his flock. So Israel was scattered. Mosai said that he's going to gather us, right? So we were scattered, right? To this very day. And you go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, and they try to debunk that. I did a video on that the other day. You can't debunk that. Deuteronomy 28 only fits one people. That's why they want to try to tear it apart. You can't tear it apart. It fits one people. Y'all wish y'all could tear out Deuteronomy 28 out of the book. You can't do it. It's there. It's written in stone. Okay. Now, let's go to Isaiah or Yoshiyahu, right? 66. All right. So, verse 15. It says, for behold, Yah will come with fire and with chariots like a whirlwind. You read that earlier today. He gonna come like a whirlwind, right? To render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. Now, the Messiah talked about him gathering all things that offend and putting them in the fire. Imagine that, right? Here he said he gonna gather. He said he gonna gather. Will come with fire, chariots like whirlwind, and render his anger and fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by sword will Yah judge all the flesh, and the slain of Yah shall be many. So we read that earlier in another account, right? He said, for by fire and by sword will Yah judge all flesh, and the slain of Yah shall be many. They that sanctify themselves, I'm sanctified, full of the Holy Ghost. It has sanctified themselves and purified themselves in the gardens behind one tree in the midst of eating swine's flesh. And the abomination, what's the abomination? crabs, shrimps, scavengers, right? All the things that y'all said is an abomination that y'all eat and say, it's okay to eat it. Just bless it. It's sanctified. Bless this pork chops that it may nourish our body. Right? But he said that sit behind, purify themselves in the gardens, behind the tree, in the midst, eating the swine's flesh and the abomination and the mouse. Who cook mice as gourmet meal and have these buffets that y'all go to? You talk to me now. The Most High said it right here. They that the abomination and the mouse shall be consumed together, says Yah. For I know their works and their thoughts. It shall come that I will gather all nations and tongues, and they shall come and see my esteem. And I will set a sign among them, and I will send those that escape of them to the nations of Tarshish, Pul, Lud, to draw the bow, to Tubal, Yavon, to the isles far off, that have not heard my fame, neither have seen my esteem, and they shall declare my esteem among the Gentiles. And verse 20, and they shall bring all your brethren for an offering unto Yah. There goes that. That's something I never thought about there. Minka, an offering. Okay. So we are an offering made by fire. It just came to my mind. Oh, okay. I get it now. Okay. They shall bring your sons and daughters and brethren as an offering unto Yah out of all the nations, upon horses and chariots and in leaders. What is this leaders here? A canopy. That's a boat. So horses and chariots. So, hey, we're going to come and says, and for those of you that don't get it, right, because they didn't have airplanes and boats and stuff like that back then, but the Most High gave the word to the prophet, and he said, and upon mules and swift beasts. That's an airplane, right? He says, to my set apart mountain, Jerusalem, says Yah, as the children of Israel bring an offering in clean vessels into the house of Yah, and also take of them priests and for Levites, says Yah. What? I will also take of them for priests and for Levites. So what is that saying? The kingdom of priesthood is going to be back into fruition. And for as the new heaven, the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, says Yah, so shall your seed and your name remain. Let's see. Now, that wasn't the one I wanted. I wanted the one we're talking about. Okay, it's Isaiah, Yoshiyahu. I think it's 60. I was in 66. All right, 60. Yoshiyahu 60. Let's see, is that right? That's it, didn't I? Surely, here it is. Surely, no, that's not it. Okay, 60, right? 60. Yoshiyahu 60. That's the one I wanted. Let's see. So let me see. Let's read this one here. Okay, I think I was there. Surely, verse 9, 6-9. Surely the isles wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish first to bring thy sons from far, and silver and gold with them. Goes your reparations, right? See, the nations owe Israel, the true Israel, the black African American Negroes that y'all want to call black Hebrews. America owes a reparation. And when the Most High gathers us, we coming out with great substance. And I'm showing you in the book. All right. So he said, surely the isles wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish first to bring thy sons from far, their silver and their gold with them, unto the name of Yah, and to the set apart one of Israel, because he hath esteemed thee. See that? So the Israelites, the African American Negroes, I'm gonna beat that into the ground, make you mad. You're gonna wake up in your sleep, you're like, the Holy Ghost gonna hit you. You can be like, the African American Negroes are the children of Israel. You're gonna roll on the floor. You're gonna not be able to sleep after this. Surely the isles shall wait for me, and ships Tarshish first to bring thy sons from far, silver and gold with them, and the name of Yah, the set apart one of Israel, because he hath esteemed thee. And watch this now. The sons of the strangers shall build up thy walls, and the kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. Therefore thy gates shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day or night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, and their kings may be brought. For that nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish. So all the nations are going to serve us in the kingdom. So get used to this face. All right? Because you're going to serve us. Y'all don't lie. There's neither male, female, Jew, nor Greek. Listen. Don't you believe that? There is male and female. That's why you have a wife. That's why y'all fight against same-sex marriages. If there's neither male and female, why don't you just leave them alone? Because there is male and female, right? So you use that when you want to use that to make it mean what you want to make it mean. All right. So the sons of the strangers shall build up thy walls, and the kings shall minister to thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy upon thee. Therefore thy gates shall be open continually; they shall not be shut day or night. Why is the gates going to be open? Listen right here. He said it's going to be open, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought. For nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish, and these nations shall be utterly wasted. So, why do you think when they see the black Messiah coming on the cloud to gather the people, they're going to beat their chests, and they're going to say, dear God, it's a Negro. They're going to beat their chest. They're going to say, oh man, we've been talking about the Negroes and tell them that they was just brought over to America to be saved, to be cleaned up, because we had mercy on them. We wanted to give them a better way of life. But when you see that black Messiah coming on that cloud with locks in his hair, looking like an African, you're going to say, dear God, it's a Negro. We've been lied to. And then you're going to utter what Jeremiah 16:19 says. In that day, the Gentiles shall say, our fathers have inherited lies. Right? All right. Well, brother, you're not preaching love. I'm preaching love. You better know it. I'm warning you of what's to come. If you want to be on the good side, get on the covenant side. And don't disrespect the covenant people, because you're going to be If you are a part of the covenant, then that's a whole nother lesson. We'll talk about that in another video. But if you're not going to be part of the covenant, and if you're alive and you're in the kingdom, you're going to come down and worship and bow down at your feet, right? And lap the dust up off the feet of those that you persecuted. Bro, you sound so full of pride, so full of arrogance. So I guess the Most High was, because he was the one that said it. Take that up with him. Right? I know you're not used to hearing a black person teach the Bible and tell you, checking you. But you call me black, I'll be black all day long. But guess what? When that day comes, you're gonna be glad or you're gonna be mad. If you take heed and you respect the word of Yah and the people that Yah chose, you're gonna be blessed. But if you don't, it ain't gonna be pretty. I'm just saying. All right. So where I leave off at, the glory, the kabod of Lebanon shall come unto thee, and the trees, the pine trees, the box together, the beauty of the place of my sanctuary, and I will make the place of my feet kabodashus. The sons also of them that afflicted thee. Watch this now. You got to get this. I can come on the screen. You got to get this. Listen. Touch that dial. It said, the sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and all they that despise thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet. They shall call thee the city of Yahweh, the Zion of the set apart one of Israel, whereas thou hast been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through thee. I will make thee an eternal. See, y'all had 2,000 years to rule. We're gonna have eternity. I will make them an eternal excellency of joy of many generations. Thou that also suck the milk of the Gentile, or thou shalt also suck the milk of the Gentiles, and shall suck the breast of the kings, and thou shalt know that I, Yah, am the Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Yaakov. For brass, I will bring gold, and for iron, I will bring silver, and for wood, brass, and for stones, iron. I will also make thy officers peace, and thine extractors righteousness. Violence shall no more be heard in thy land, wasting nor destruction within thy borders, but thou shalt call thy walls salvation and thy gates praise. Okay? So I want to read one last place and then I'll be done. Now, if you send me another message, I'm going to give you another sermon. So if you don't want to hear me, don't send me no stupid messages about loving everybody. All right? I'm loving you by telling you the judgment that's coming if you don't repent. Right? Now, let's go to, I want to show you what the Most High said about why these brothers are in the streets and they're bitter. Because some of them are going to be, I believe, you might not like it, some of them are going to be the warriors in the great battle. So, I know you hate, brothers, we hate sometimes. It's just so piercing to hear the language that they use. But you know what? God knew that a great army was going to be raised up, right? So let's go to Jeremiah, right? Or Yirmiyahu. And we're going to read We're going to start at verse 17, 51 and 17. All right. Every man is brutish by his knowledge. Do you know what that means? Every man is brutish. Okay. Consumed. Right. It says to a kindle. It says consumed by fire, by eating, also is become brutish. So every man is brutish, right? By his knowledge. Every founder is confounded by a graven image. For the molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them, right? They are vanity, the work of errors. In the time of their visitation, they shall perish. The portion of Jacob is not like them. See, so he's making the comparison. He's saying all these people that are brutish with their knowledge, when you come and try to rebuke and correct an Israelite who don't know how to respond back, you got one today, brother. I'm gonna give you the compassionate side, but I'm also gonna snatch you up out the fire. And some of y'all need to be snatched about the fire, right? He says he says the portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is a former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. Yahuwah Sabaoth is his name. And he says right here, thou art my battle axe and weapons of war, for with thee will I break pieces the nations, and with thee will I destroy kingdoms. So who is he going to destroy the nations with and the kingdoms with? Israel, the African Americans, and the children of diaspora. That's who he's going to destroy the nations with. So get used to it. Those brothers are bitter for a reason. And nothing that you or I can do about it to pacify. I constantly confront those brothers, but the Most High woke me up and told me those brothers are bitter for a reason. Let me deal with them. Okay, I'm done. I let the Most High deal with them. Some of them going to be cleaned up at the last, but they're going to be them warriors. Okay. So he says, thou art my battle axe, weapons of war. With thee I will break pieces of nations. With thee I will destroy kingdoms. And with thee I will break in pieces the horse and his rider. And with thee I will break in pieces the chariot and his rider. And with thee also I will break in pieces the man and woman. And with thee will I break in pieces the old and young. And with thee will I break in pieces the old man and the maid. I will also break in pieces with thee the shepherd and his flock. And with thee will I break in pieces the husbandman and his yoke of oxen. And with thee will I break to pieces the captains and rulers. So you're going to do all that with the African Americans. And I'm going to keep saying African Americans. That's what y'all call us. He going to do that with the African Americans, the children of Israel. And I will render unto Babylon to all the inhabitants of Chaldea and their evil that they have done in Zion in your sight, says Yah. He says, behold, I am against thee, O destroying mountain, says Yah, which destroyeth all the earth, and I will stretch out my hand upon thee and roll thee down from the rocks and will make thee a burnt mountain. So I'm not going to read the rest of that, but you get the picture. You want to talk about love? You got the love right there, right? The love of Yah is to judge the quick and the dead. It's like he judged the nation of Israel, my forefathers, these 2,000 years, we've been running and running and running. He's going to repay the nations, brother. So let me see. Let me finish your comment, because I want to make sure I address all your comments. So you don't have nothing else left to say. All right. Should you preach against homosexuality and forget about your own sins? Should you preach against pedophilia and not against thieves? Should you say that you sit? Listen, I preach Torah. That includes all lawlessness. Okay? Should you say your way of living life is better than everyone else when you have a blank in your own eye? That's talking about when the Messiah talked about the plank in your eye, he was talking about those that wasn't obeying. As a matter of fact, let me help you out here a little bit. Because everybody was quick to jump on the Pharisee. You a Pharisee. I'm happy to be one. Okay, how you spell Pharisee? P-H-A. Okay, Pharisee. Okay, I want the one where he said the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. That's the one. Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. Where is that at? Hold on, I gotta find it. There it is. Matthew 23. Matif Yahoo 23. All right. Okay, let's read it. Then spoke Yahshua unto the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moshe's seat. So what's wrong with that? They're allowed to sit in Moshe's seat. They're supposed to. We all supposed to, right? We're supposed to be a kingdom of priests. Okay, but there was a problem with them, not with what they were trying to, or they was representing, I should say, right? Okay. They're saying the scribes sitting in Moshe's seat. All therefore, he said, listen to what the Messiah said. All therefore, whatever they bid you observe, that observe and do. But don't do, but do not you after their works, for they say and do not. Right? And he says, for they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and lay on them man's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. But all their works they do to be seen of men. They make broad their phylacteries and enlarge the borders of their garments, right? So that's why we have to make sure when we are adorning ourselves, there's nothing wrong. This brother attacked the fringes. We supposed to wear them fringes. But let's make sure that we are representing them fringes too, right? All right. But all their works is to be seen of men. They make broad their phylacteries and enlarge their borders of their garments, and love the utmost rooms at the feast, and the chief seats in the synagogues, and greetings in the markets, and to be called of men Rabbi, Rabbi. But be ye not called Rabbi, for one is your master, even the Messiah, and all you are brethren. Right? I think I want to skip to the part where he says, unless your righteousness shall exceed the scribes and the Pharisees. Where is that? That might be a different place. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, that's 522. 520. All right. He says, for I say unto you that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, you shall no case enter into the kingdom of heaven. How about that? So much for works, huh? Saved by grace. That's the Messiah said that. He said that out of his own mouth. I guess Paul must have missed that memo, huh? He said, except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, you shall no wise enter into the kingdom of heaven. So what is he saying? He's saying to obey the law that you grace riders keep trying to tell us, y'all Judaizers, we're trying to obey the Creator. We're Judaizers. You better wake up and smell the coffee, because you following the blind. What does the Messiah say? The blind lead the blind. They're gonna both fall in the ditch together, right? So let me see. What else did you say? Let me see. Where's my? All right, let's see. He said, "There's a lot of things that you have done in the past and still do today, but I say you love Elohim and that you hate the things that Elohim hates." First off, you don't know me to know what I do. That's bearing false witness. How dare you say there are a lot of things that you have done in the past and still do today? How do you know what I do today? You let the devil speak right through your teeth. There's a lot of things that you have done in the past and still do today, that you say you love Yah and that you hate the things that Yah hates. Yah hates a lot of things. This is true. I'm quite sure that Yah hates some of the things you say out of your mouth, and that's hidden in your heart. Well, if I'm gonna give you something on that. I'm gonna take it to the book. Okay, let me see. First John 3:20. You're gonna like this. This is my response to your statement. Okay. It says, for if, this is first John 3:20, first Yachanan. For if our heart condemns us, Yah is greater than our heart and knows all things. How about that? Like my dad used to say, put that in your pipe and smoke it. Silly rabbit. Tricks are for kids. All right. So much for the heart, right? Now, let me continue. I know somebody, whoever's going to see this, and say, brother, who are you talking to? I'm talking to this brother in the Hebrew Israelite debate group who continues to try to judge me and tell me what I'm doing and don't know me, but he's a troll. And he hasn't never identified himself to me, right? But yeah, he feels the need to try to rebuke me. So I'm responding the way I know how to respond in the lesson. All right, now. So he says, talks about that. This is quite true. I'm quite sure that God hates some of the things you say out of your mouth. Da, 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 da. Okay. But God hasn't condemned you, so why do you do so when it comes to other people? And with straight face, you say it depends if you love white men, women, and children and other races, or it depends if you hate the above mentioned people. Okay. So I already answered that question. So if you don't like my answer, shame, shame, shame. But I repeat what I said from the very beginning. I hate what Yah hates, and I love what Yah loves. So therefore, I don't love everybody. And when you find me a scripture that tells me to love everybody, then I will. You know any scriptures that tell you to love everybody? Okay. That's all I got. So, until the next time, I bid you shalom.